Hello, everyone. Okay. I'm trying to see how I look. I have a mirror behind, so honestly, that's kind of helping. But anyway, this is what Christmas was 2 days ago, and so I meant to do this before Christmas, before the holidays, but I caught up with life, work, all that jazz. But still, part of me feels like, oh, there's no point in this. It's Christmas is already gone. The holidays are over, ish. But nonetheless, for archival purposes, I want to do this. But based on the probable title of this video, I am someone who gets really sad during the holidays. I get very melancholic. I get really nostalgic, and um, it's an odd feeling because as a kid in my youth, I loved and adored Christmas. Why? Why? Because also I was a very spoiled brat, and I love materialistic gifts. I love getting a plethora and opening so many, blah 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 blah. But also, I think Christmas, or whether you practice it or not, like the holidays mean something for everybody differently. My family, I had a pretty traditional American Christmas growing up, and then just progressively throughout the years, just because of life circumstances and things like that, Christmas use became different. When I lived with my mom still, um, because of my brother, I put a lot of emphasis into trying to give my brother memories and things to look forward to, things that he could look back on. And so that my brother was my biggest impetus to try to decorate and be all festive and try to do stuff more for Christmas, because for a significant gap, our Christmases weren't really like that. I don't even know what the point of this is. Basically, now as an adult living, I it's been almost 2 years since I've moved out of my parents. It's hard to do it by yourself because as a kid, everything else was taken care of you. This is basically the existential thing of becoming an adult, is literally having to do everything by yourself. But last year I didn't put up a Christmas tree. I wasn't in the mood and I didn't really do anything for it, which worsened my mood and made me feel even more depressed. So I tried to learn my lessons from last year. It's like, okay, let me not do that. And yet I it's odd because this year's Christmas wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. The start of it wasn't quite good. I was feeling very emotional and all these things, very negative. But in the end, it wasn't that bad. It was not the best Christmas I've had, but it wasn't the worst either. I guess part of me would have hoped it was more. At the same time, it was just because of circumstance and just life and just how it is, it's not really going to be quite how it used to be anymore. Gifts are different, the meaning is different, and for some years I've always brought gifts for everybody, but I used to be so much more excited for this, and I think I know that's why I know that's a variable as to why I feel like this. I don't even know where the fuck my point is. I must be honest, I smoked a lot on Christmas and also Christmas Eve, so my mind is just all over the fucking place. Yeah. Anyway, I think from the Christmases from when I was younger, it built up a lot of expectations and a lot of disappointments because we always view, I think for most of us, our childhood or things that we grew up with in these rose tinted glasses, in this very nostalgic, hazy, perfect kind of view. And I kind of miss like being that kid and like Chris, like going to school during the holidays, like having Christmas break. I don't know about that, but like just the meaning and what it felt like during Christmas. And as an adult, I don't know if it's just because I've grown up slightly, or just like it's everything, like the world around me, the people around me, all these things that like it's just not quite the same. And I don't need it to really be the same. I just think I think it is okay to be sad during a time that's supposed to be, very joyful, um and giving. My three 2 3 past Christmases haven't been that great. And also what doesn't help is like with the new year, it's like, oh, because for me, I had the existential crisis. Like it was, I think, the day before Christmas Eve, where I realized like, oh fuck, it's actually gonna almost be Christmas. Christmas means end of December. End of December means the new year is gonna be coming. And so all that just amalgamates. It's like, oh my god. And I keep asking myself, what the fuck have I done with my life? And I don't quite know. That feeling of frustration within myself and shame and regret of wishing I had done more this past year, with just kind of comparing who I used to be around this time of the year or just in general to years, decades, so and so back, and comparing to who I am now. It's like, oh, sometimes it's a bit more favorable, sometimes it's very negative. I wish I cared. It's like I wish I cared more about things. I don't quite know how to explain it. As I feel as I continue throughout life, I feel like I become more numb to things, which is a good thing as well as much as if it's a bad thing. I don't quite feel as much as I used to, and I don't things that used to just envelop my being. They still do to an extent, but it's just not the same. I told myself Christmas the day of, like I was smoking in the morning. I was like, it's just a bad day, Hannah. It's just not a bad life. Because when I get very negative, I like it just envelops me, who I am, and I start to think just everything around me is just flawed and marred. And even though I feel like it was a bit lacking, and it definitely wasn't my favorite, but it was okay. It was okay. There are things to still appreciate even in the midst of everything. I tried vocalizing this thought to a few people, like how do you feel to Christmas? Like do you feel like do you get sad at all during the Christmas time? And some people didn't quite really understand, and some people did. And but that's just the thing, like Christmas means things differently for different people. And I think it's like I rationalized and I made myself feel okay with feeling sad and feeling negative. It's not that I should carry that feeling throughout with me, but rather I shouldn't try to negate it or try to push it down like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this. Blah, 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 blah. Because that just makes the feeling worse when we don't try to understand how we're feeling. And yet I kept yet after that I was like, amidst all these things, that may possibly be true about myself, my life, and everything around me, what do I wish to do? Do I wish to, I don't know, not do anything really, just like bask in this feeling of negativity and, anger and frustration and disappointment and sadness and all these wonderful things? Honestly, I will say I spend most of the day very inebriated. Very inebriated. Actually, the entire day inebriated, but the day has passed and it will pass. And then, you know, a year from now, we'll be in the same place, probably doing the same thing, potentially. And that's just life. It is just a bad day. It's just a bad day. It's not a bad life. Everything passes, and everything returns. That is the inevitability of life. I miss how I used to like care more about Christmas. Like I fucking love decorating. I love doing that with my younger brother. Like we make like paper snowflakes and we decorate them, like put them on the ceilings and stuff like that. It was kind of like we put them in our hallway, and it kind of gave me like little Hogwarts kind of kind of thing. Like just like the hallway, the snowflakes was very pretty. And I just don't have the energy for anything. And if not energy, I don't have the motivation. And if not motivation, I don't have the desire. What is the dichotomy between motivation and desire? I don't quite know. Essentially, I feel like I miss how I used to care more. But life will go on. It will. It's just a day. And it's okay to be disappointed and to feel sad about if your Christmases this past year or, thus far have not been as good, have not been as giving. Perhaps we're lacking, or perhaps it's just not the same as it used to be. I think that's, I think it's a human feeling to have. The world's gonna keep changing and we're gonna keep changing, and that's just the inevitable process. We're gonna take down our trees in weeks, months, days. Honestly, I'll probably keep mine up till like February or so. And then we'll take it down. We'll go about our lives. Spring will come, summer will come, be fucking hot. And the leaves will turn colors, and then they'll come off, and then it'll get cold, and then we'll put up the tree. Then we'll be all stressed about buying Christmas gifts for everybody, and then opening them, and doing all the stuff that we gotta do, and then the new year's gonna roll again. And that's just the inevitable cycle of life. And God, we are all stuck in that motherfucking cycle. We literally live our lives in repeat. This endless cyclical cycle. And within those confines, do experience our life. But it will go on. It's going to go on. For better, for worse. It's just going to go on. Regardless of how you or I feel. But this feeling is going to pass. Maybe it won't completely go away, but it will pass. And then it'll be replaced by another feeling, for better, for worse. And that's just the spiral. Oof, I'm hungry. I have no idea, honestly, what the point of this was. I think I rambled, and there was just no coherent, like, what is the structure of this? There's no structure. There is no foundation. There's nothing. There's nothing.